Hello, good morning. It's Friday the 12th. I'm FX Plu and it's a rather wet and miserable end to the working week. But do you know what I'm getting rather sick of? The supply chain bottleneck. Pretty much every issue out there at the moment is being distilled down and blamed on the supply chain bottleneck. The economic recovery may well be hitting the buffers, and we're seeing government and Bank of England officials all too often using the supply chain bottleneck as an excuse to cover the possibility they may have got it wrong. So the supply chain bottleneck is becoming a bit of a scapegoat. Don't get me wrong, it's a very real thing. Demand is indeed outstripping supply, and by a country mile too. However, all these officials soapboxing about the supply chain bottlenecks could and probably should have seen the risk way back when. Back before thousands upon thousands of EU citizens left the UK as Brexit removed their freedom of movement. But anyway, Sunak was on. He even used the supply chain bottleneck to account for the considerable economic slowdown. GDP, Q3 GDP growth, that was down to just 1.3%, quite a drop from the finalised Q2 figure, which came in at 6.6%. He said the country's still moving in the right direction, but we're not alone in experiencing supply chain bottlenecks. Very good, Rishi. Suggesting we're all in the same boat, suggesting that others also got it wrong to lower our expectations and hold you to a lower account. Oh, that's politics you can be proud of. In reaction to the GDP data or the standard of politics, sterling fell across the board yesterday. We dropped to about 133.55 against the dollar and 116.65 against the euro. Over in the US, meanwhile, the inflation debate continues. Republicans are still raging at Biden and the level of support still being pumped into the economy. They believe that tapering should have started way back in the summer so that it could end before year end. Yet here we are. Inflation is at the highest level since 1990, and there is a growing fear that, certainly in part, is being driven by structural weaknesses in the economy now. Look at that through the lens of corporate America. You've got the large conglomerates that continue to raise prices, citing labour costs and shortage of raw materials and our good old friend supply chain bottlenecks, yet profits continue to rise at close to a record pace. It might not be broken, but it's certainly fractured, and it will certainly take more than 6 weeks in a cast and a bit of physio to get over. We should expect high inflation to be around for some time to come now. And we should expect it to be labelled as transitory for some time to come now too. Probably right up until it's very obvious that it's not transitory and we see higher wage demands from the labour market driving wage inflation higher. So arguably we may already have seen the start of an inflationary spiral. How or when that may end, well, that's a question for another day. For now, it's Friday, it's nearly the weekend, and I need to pack. I'm off to Cyprus next week. Cheerio.
If you do not have a clue, then just tweet through and ask FX Blue.